Hello, and welcome all to the first of our live streams for the MongoDB World Hackathon 2022. I'm Shane McAllister. I'm a lead developer advocate here at MongoDB, and I'm joined by my colleague, Nick Raboy. Nick, say hi.
Hi. How's it going, everyone?
Good, I hope. Hope we'll see.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, so today we want to spend not a huge amount of time, probably 20, 25 minutes, just really orientating the people around our hackathon that we're doing this year for on the build up to MongoDB World. So we've got a small presentation, but it's a conversation. Please jump in the chat as well too. Myself and Nick will try and pick up those items and talk about them. But we're going to give you a really high level overview of what the hackathon is about, and look forward to interacting with you. So we're going to share the presentation screen here at the moment. So in essence, here's our swift agenda. We're going to do, well, the introductions are already done, right, Nick? It's only yourself and myself here
Yeah,
at the moment.
definitely.
I want to talk a little bit about our hackathon theme for this year. This is the first time in 2 years that we've done a hackathon in the build up to MongoDB World. Obviously, with COVID, etc., it was pretty impossible to do this prior. So now we are doing it, but we're doing it virtually. I think that in the last 2 years, people have got used to doing things online, and we know that hackathons in person have a certain kind of serendipity to them. You get together in a room or a hotel or a conference suite, and we get to matchmake and put people together. And we'll talk a little bit about how we're going to do that in this virtual hackathon that we're doing. We're also going to speak about the theme, the GDELT project. We'll talk a little bit more about that and what about that fascinating data set that we're hoping to use for this. Obviously, it's the MongoDB Hackathon, so we want to get you set up with an account on mongodb.com and obviously get set up with Atlas as well too. So Nick is going to talk a little bit through that, both Atlas and the rest of our projects as well that we have too. And then I want to come back and talk a little bit about our participation. We're using our MongoDB community, our MongoDB forums for this hackathon, which is great because we get to interact with not only the hackathon participants, but the rest of the MongoDB community as well too. So in that regard, you have a great opportunity to get help from across a broad reach of our community that we have. This team, myself and Nick and others, are also hacking along with you. So we'll talk about what we're building, the app that we're building throughout this hackathon as well too, our minimal viable product, our MVP. And so that we can show you how we're working with our own tools and our own technologies, etc. as well. And a little bit then about what the next stages are. We're primarily going to try and live stream quite regularly, maybe certainly twice, if not 3 times per week. So this is the first one, as I said at the introduction. And so we're going to just talk you through kind of what the theme and the whole hackathon is about. We have a team, and myself and Nick are here. We're also joined on the team by Mark Smith, who is going to help out as well too. And then we have the Mike Lynn and Sonali as well. So it's a global hackathon. We have a huge range of coverage. Nick is all the way over in the West Coast US, both Mark and I. Mark is in Scotland. I'm here in the West Coast of Ireland in Limerick. Mike Lynn is in Philadelphia, and Sonali is in India. So we have, I think, about 22 and a half hours coverage. So any of the questions, any of the things that you raise on our forums, we should be able to get you quickly. But as I said, our community are there too, and they'll be happy to answer any of your questions. So I'm going to speak a little bit now about what our theme is. It's super important to have a theme for a hackathon. I think because it's a common sense, it's a common purpose for everybody participating. And we know, particularly certainly in the last 2 years, that news is all around us. We're constantly bombarded with the news, for good or for bad, and continually trying to keep up to date with what's current. So we are going to focus right in on that. We're going to look at the theme of a hackathon as data as news. We've got a lot of news out there. There's a lot of information overload. So how do we leverage, I suppose, the tools and things that we have in MongoDB as our product suite to make sense of one of the largest world's largest data sets. So for this project, we have decided to use what's called the GDELT project. Now, for those of you, you may not be familiar with this. Indeed, some of us here weren't as familiar with it before we started on this theme as well too. So let me give you a little bit of background onto the GDELT project. GDELT itself stands for a global database of events, language, and tone. And that's really, really important. In essence, the GDELT project has been running for a long time, and it monitors the world's broadcast, print, and web news from nearly every corner of the globe. And it's in lots of languages as well, too. And what it tries to do is to parse that news information and identify the key people, the key locations, and the organizations that are involved, and also the theme and the tone of that news as well, which is really, really exciting. It's something that we will dig into later on as well too. And it's able to classify and give a score to that tone that's used throughout those events too. So it's a really, really interesting data set, but it's also, suits MongoDB so well. It's massive. It goes back all the way back to 1979, and it's updated every 15 minutes. So this is incredible for, news is all around us. It's very prevalent to what we do. And to have a data set that's continuously updated is really important. It was very important for us here at MongoDB to put something together that you could see the speed and the scale and the efficiency of MongoDB as well, too.
Shane, we have a question coming in from the chat.
Sure.
We've got a question coming in. Can I use random forest during the hackathon? I'm not sure what random forest is, but maybe you have familiarity?
I have no familiarity with random forest, so maybe the poster can give us a little bit more information, and we can certainly revert back on that too.
Yes,
that
definitely.
would be great to see if we can do that. So a little bit more about GDELT in itself. I suppose the one key thing for us is that we're looking both back at the news trends over a long period of time and using that data that we're exposing to maybe potentially be able to forecast future trends in data as well too. The other reason why we chose GDELT was, most hackathons that we see out there start with a fairly static data set. It's quite small, it's quite focused. And this is entirely the opposite of that as well, too. So that's been really interesting to work with. I know it's been tough to work with as well, Nick. So that's pretty hard. The entire data set is about 2.5 terabytes. It changes, as I said, every 15 minutes. And it's global, and it's in different languages as well, too. So what we're doing here in our hackathon is that we have looked at a slice of that data set. We don't want to work all the way back. It's huge, it's enormous. It could essentially be unwieldy, but you're more than welcome to if that's what you want to do as part of this hackathon. But we're trying to make it easy to query, to analyze, and to present that data. And MongoDB has the tools and products to help you do that as well too. The GDELT dataset also has some unique structures and challenges. We're not really going to go into that in this orientation live stream that we're doing today, but we will be following up with other live streams, one particularly focused on the GDELT dataset itself, so you can understand how we work with that and the structure, the format of it. We will also follow up with another live stream about MongoDB and how to get set up with Atlas, etc. We'll touch on it a little bit in this as well too, and also the other products that we have, and then how we bring them both together. So there's a lot more to come in terms of the live streaming that we're doing. If you really want to dig into GDELT right away, on our forums where we're running this hackathon, we have a GDELT primer there, so you can read through the blog post or the post that I put up there, which has all the relevant links that you need to get started yourself. But as I said, we will be live streaming that properly for you as well. And we have a repo linked to that as well. So you can jump in there, go into the README, which is very detailed of how you can get up and running yourself with the GDELT dataset as well too. So to participate in the hackathon, obviously we want you to be using MongoDB products, and you need to get set up with Atlas. So Nick, if you want to jump through the next couple of slides here and show everyone perhaps how to get set up too.
Yeah, I would love to. But before I do that, I just want to throw out that reminder that for this particular session happening right now, we are live. this is your opportunity to ask away on those questions. We are paying attention to the chat, but then it will be on demand after this session as well. And like Shane said, we're gonna be doing quite a few others as well. So as far as Atlas and what you need to get started, so this is if this is your first time being exposed to MongoDB or MongoDB Atlas, this is going to be a good starting point, and then we'll explore it more in depth in another stream as well. Oops, lost activity there. So what you will need to be successful for this hackathon is you will need to have a MongoDB Atlas account. From there, you'll be able to use Atlas, Realm, charts, etc. And we're gonna shed some more light into all of that as well. You don't need to pay anything to be a part of this hackathon. You could use the free tiers that we offer, but you will need to have an account. Once you do that, you'll be dropped onto a dashboard that looks something like this. Maybe small changes as well. You will need to create a new database, which as a result, you'll also need to have a cluster available to you in Atlas. The setup for that is basically going to be on the next slide. But as a gift to everyone who's part of this hackathon, we're encouraging you to use the code WorldHack22, so that way you get some credit to your cluster. You don't need to be using a paid cluster for this hackathon if you don't need it. So when the time comes, we can set up a free cluster. You should be able to accomplish most of what you need there. But if you need that extra $100 to put towards a more powerful cluster, more power to you, right, Shane?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it depends on the size of the data set that you
Yeah.
want to work with in your particular project. I mean, we know for a fact, I think up to about 6 months of data will fit fine in our M0 free cluster, no problem whatsoever. But if you want to go back further than that, if you want to go all the way back, 5, 6, 7 years to see that data over that time, then obviously you'll need one of our other tiers. And that's where obviously the Atlas credits will come in very handy.
Yeah, definitely. So with that code in mind, like I mentioned numerous times already, you can choose to set up a free tier cluster, or you can try to make use of one of our serverless or dedicated clusters if you're feeling adventurous.
And I think the one thing to point out, sorry, I didn't put a screenshot there, was once you go in and get set up, you then go into the billing tab to apply your Atlas credits as well too. So you can use that code in the billing tab, and I'll put that code also into our forums later on, so people can have that. They don't have to rewatch this to figure it out, but it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't need to use the code at the time of creation. You can apply it later. I think we have a question coming into the chat, Shane. Let's.
Sure. This one.
Sorry, I stepped on you. Go ahead and try it again.
Perfect. So what type of application are you thinking about using the news data set? I think this is a superb question. I think one of the more interesting parts of this news data set is that the variety of sort of applications you can build around it. As I said, the data set is enormous, and you can examine the data set in many different ways. One of the, for us, we're going to build our MVP, our minimal viable product, and we're building a news browser. And we're going to build that along with the rest of the people participating in the hackathon over the next couple of weeks as well too. So we're taking a news browser and we're showing that up on a web page. We're then going to use, I suppose, the categories that are available in the GDAL data set to filter that. We're also going to use the tone that's available through the GDAL dataset to filter that further. And we're going to, use Atlas search so that you can search through the dataset. And we're also, because all of the news is geocoded, we're going to use mapping so that we can show events happening in different locations in real time around the world too. So there's a lot to explore. One of the things, I think I linked to it in the forums too, the GDELT project.org is the website for GDELT, but they have a really good blog which shows all the different types of, I suppose, apps and news sources that are being built on the back of the GDELT project as well too. So you might get some inspiration there.
Yeah, little hint, or without showing you what I'm working on exactly yet, I was experimenting with this data set and Next.js, and not paying attention to how large the data set was,
Mhm.
I thought my computer was about to like lift off from processing gigabytes and terabytes worth of data up front. So it's quite enormous.
Michael has a good question there too about the tone, provide indicators to debunk false facts. It does get quite deep in that regard. I suppose what they do is, they do have a tone element of it, and they also have an index, the Goldstein index as well too, which goes from -10 to +10. So negative news to positive news as well too. And I think that might be an area for people to examine as well too. I think we're very used on a day-to-day basis that most of the news that we see being broadcast anyway or in print is predominantly negative. It would be really nice to see that people might use the tone and the index to pick out the positive news amongst the world today and maybe surface those up. So it's a pretty good question. Thank you, Michael.
Should I continue, or should we get this last few comments in there?
So I think an e-commerce website, I don't know how the angle might be on an e-commerce website for this. I think certainly something that we could look into. It is a 6-week long hackathon. We have plenty of time. And as with that, it's 6 weeks, so we've loads of time to build and hack. It's also 6 weeks, so you can share the word and get lots of other people to join at any time. As long as the projects that you build are submitted before the end of day, wherever you are, May 20th, you're eligible for entry into the hackathon. So we're very much look forward to seeing what you might build. I'm sure there's an angle for an e-commerce website there. I can't think of it offhand at the moment. Most definitely.
Maybe you could do some kind of machine learning on the data set and figure out what products to sell based on whatever you've determined, or advertising.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know it was kind of a quirky one, so I did highlight it in the forums, in the hackathon forums. If you go in, I shared, I think, 4 or 5 sample articles yesterday, and one of them was, I think, to do with something that President Trump said about the price of bread near Mar-a-Lago, his resort. And I think that was using the data set to examine what the price of bread might be. So there are plenty of opportunities for potential e-commerce application for this as well too. And just on this comment I've thrown on the screen there, I will suggest some more links as I find, and as our team actually finds some interesting projects built on the GDALT. We'll certainly share those also in the forums as well too. So once you're registered, all the new, any new topic you will get notified about. And then it's entirely up to you and your own settings on our forums as to whether you get notified about all those replies to that topics as well too. But that's what we're trying to foster, a discussion in our forums. That's why we're using our community platform for this hackathon, is to foster the discussion and leverage the community that we have there.
I like this comment from Angie.
I'll throw that one up too. Fair play, Angie. I think you could couple that with the e-commerce application, right? I mean, the Kardashians are pretty good business people, so something you could do there as well too.
Kanye West or something.
Most
all right. Yeah, so you're gonna want to pick your cluster tier. Oh, looks like I'm on the wrong screen again. All right. After you choose your tier, I mean, there's a few more steps on that kind of page as far as what version of MongoDB or the region that you want to deploy to. You're going to want to set up some credentials for your username and password, or your network rules. But you should also pay a visit to some of the tutorials, like
definitely
this quick start. Go on. You were going to say something, Shane?
Yeah, tutorials are good to get an idea of what how you can use our products as well too. So if you go to docs.mongodb.com, you'll find certainly a load of tutorials that you can leverage as well.
Yeah. There are some tools that might be advisable for this particular project. You don't have to use it. You can always write your own as well. But this might save you a lot of time and trouble. I thought there was another slide here. There's some data loader tools that you could use to get the data out of GDALT into MongoDB, as well as like exploration tools like Compass if you don't already have it. Was there another tool that I was missing, Shane?
No, I mean, I think how to get the GDAL data into MongoDB is going to be the subject of another live stream that we're going to do.
Yeah.
So we will walk you through that. And what we're doing also for people who don't want to take that data and set it up themselves, obviously, we also have access to our cluster where we're hosting the data, and you can get read-only access to that as well too. But mind you, that's only our timeline of the data. So we've gone in there, we've imported it, we've sanitized it and formatted a little bit better to suit our document structure. You're more than welcome to work with that. Or as we hope, you'll go off and you'll go and get your own set of data from GDELT and use that yourselves.
Will we be posting the read-only credentials in the form, Shane, or are they already there?
There's some of it there already, and we've given a connection string in the forums, and we just want to tidy up that tutorial a little bit more as well too. But that connection string that I posted, I think yesterday, should still work.
Yeah, perfect. So here's some of the cool things that you can include in your project that will definitely score you some extra points, and I think will get you a long way. I mean, we've only been really talking about the database product for storing your GDELT, but I mean, imagine adding search into your project, being able to search for specific stories based on like was previously mentioned, Kim Kardashian. Being able to plot that data with charts, and in the case of our data set, which is quite enormous, maybe even explore data lake for offloading some of it in S3.
Yeah, I mean, we have a load of kind of huge, like it depends on what you want to do with that data, how you're going to work with it. But we have the tools that you need to work with the data set that large and that frequently updated. So it'll be really, really challenging to see and exciting to see what people are going to build with that as well too. We also have under our Realm application services, Nick, I think on the next slide, some tools and things that we can get up and running pretty quickly for most of our participants.
Yeah. I'm wondering, Shane, and maybe this is something that we can do on our end. I'm wondering, instead of giving people maybe direct access to our cluster, what about if we exposed it in a GraphQL API? Let people access it that way.
Yeah,
I'm gonna think about, right?
Definitely. I think the forums are there for the discussions. I think based on this live stream and the comments that we're getting back, I think we'd like to help and make it as easy for people to work with this data as possible. Of course, it's good that you need to understand the GDELT data set, but for us, obviously, we want you to be really familiar and comfortable with the MongoDB tools that we have. So if it's a heavy lift to learn both GDELT and the MongoDB, then we'll make that easy for you as well too. We will give you the data set that you can build your app around.
Sure. But yeah, there's other Realm stuff that could be beneficial in this particular project. Serverless functions, maybe you're loading the data set and you need triggers to trigger some functions. You could use that. Set your data permissions directly in Realm. So Realm, if you never used it before, it's more or less a middleware. So that way you don't have to deploy your own architecture and infrastructure. And that will interface with MongoDB. So you get everything in between, like the data access permissions. You get authentication, logging, things like that. It's an option. It's not a necessity, but it is an option if that's the route you want to take.
Yeah, I mean, we've got it'll do a lot of heavy lifting for you and get you kind of started quicker if that's the route you want to go, definitely.
Yeah.
And if you are, we're talking about the MVP we're building is a web app. If you want to go mobile with this and examine the data through a mobile app, then Realm has SDKs for all the major platforms as well too. So we'd love to see some participants build some cool mobile apps around the GDELT data set.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I think it's back to you, right, Shane?
It is. I'm just popping in a link for that question that was asked there, which is the link for the hackathon. Essentially, you go there and to register, which leads us very neatly onto the next few slides. As I said earlier, we are doing all of this via our community forums. For those of you that have participated in hackathons in the past, I'm going to actually, perfect. Oops, I'm back a few slides. Bear with me while I jump forward. Apologies. This is the beauty of live streaming. So for those of you who've done other hackathons, you're familiar with the other platforms that hackathons happen on, which is superb. You get to meet a good cohort of people as well too. But you only have the collective intelligence of everybody else who's doing the hackathon with you. And what we want to do is leverage both that, but also the collective intelligence of our entire MongoDB community. So we are running this hackathon for the first time, actually, we haven't done this before, on our own MongoDB forums. So the link that we have up on the mongodb.com/world 2022/hackathon site will take you to our forums if you hit the register button. If you are a member of our forums already, it actually takes you straight through to this welcome page and adds you to the hackathon group. If you're not a member already of our forums, then you'll have to just register as a member of the forums, and then you're added to the hackathon group straight away. So we've put a number of posts over the last few days up on the hackathon group on our forum. So you have a welcome, and you can learn and read all about the MongoDB hackathon and the team, all of the kind of content that we're giving you here now in the live stream. In the sidebar in the forums, you will see some quick links that are really, really important. So you can go in and see the resources that we've made available for you, the rules that we have, office hours. This is what we're trying to do on our forums, is we're trying to, essentially respond quickly enough on our forums, but run some office hours. So after we've got everybody onboarded through these various live streams, we're going to also be available for you to come on and ask us questions as well too. So we'll be doing those. We've got a large section of FAQs, and obviously everybody's falling under our community code of conduct as well too. One of the things that makes virtual hackathons harder than the in-person hackathons is matchmaking, corralling people together, the people with the skills who are looking for projects and people with projects looking for skills. So we've tried to do this in an innovative way on our forums as well too. So you will see that we have pinned 2 categories to the very top of the hackathon forum. And it's projects looking for hackers and hackers looking for projects. Now, so far, from what I've seen, we've seen people register for the hackers looking for projects. So we've seen people put forward their skills looking for a project to join, but we haven't seen that many projects come forward. Now, that's probably because we're getting people orientated on the GDAL data set, and we want them to understand that. So people need to get their head around that before they decide what project they might be doing. But if you've done that, we've made life really easy. So if you go into the projects looking for hackers category and you hit new topic, you're presented with a wizard, which asks you to fill in your team name, a small outline of the project that you're proposing. So that's your pitch, so kind of keep it short and concise and enticing. Really what you're doing is you're trying to bring people across to join you and your team. If you have certain skills yourself, but are lacking others, then you might want to put down some of those skills that you'd be looking for from potential team members. So, maybe you're a React developer and you want somebody with more back-end experience, et cetera, et cetera. So maybe you're a mobile developer and you want to build a web app as well too, and you want to couple up in that way. So put down the experience that you want. We have a drop-down box for how many team members are needed. Typically, we've seen in the past that, hackathon teams, once they go beyond 4 members, become slightly unwieldy. But, it's not a hard or fast limit on that. So by all means, you can look for more team members depending on the size and scale of your potential project. And also we have a box there for time zone. This is really to facilitate collaboration. So you put down, what time zone you're in, and also maybe, what hours you might be available. So if it's, you don't want to clash with the day job, you might put in a couple of hours each evening or something like that as well too. So I think that's important, most definitely, to foster collaboration. So that will be the projects looking for hackers wizard. The equivalent, the opposite really, the hackers looking for projects wizard is very simple. Again, if you hit new topic, you can add your skills, and some people have already done that, and we really appreciate and grateful for that. So you outline your own experience. I'm 3 years a mobile developer, whatever the case might be, and the skills that you have. So the languages, etc., that you are most familiar with. And once again, time zone to make collaboration easy. So once we start to see this happening, and I would be responding to most of these as well too, once we start to see this happening, we can, try and matchmake the best way as we can. In the real world, this would have generally taken place in a conference room, and people stand up and they pitch their projects, and other people gravitate towards those projects. And then at the end of the day, we see, who is not in a team, and teams of one are fine. Don't get me wrong. You might come with a strong idea with all of the skills necessary, work away. You're a team of one. That's no problem whatsoever. But it is more fun collaborating with people. So we're very much looking forward to that happening as well too. Once we have sufficient projects and sufficient people all matched up, you will be able to use our forums to organize your work, organize your team communication, your private team communication. We have the ability to message each other in a group that we'll set up for you. It'll be a private group. Myself and Nick and others on the Hackathon team will be able to dive in there as well too and help out as necessary. So we're trying to facilitate it and make it really easy in this virtual space to align and matchmake hackers with projects and projects with hackers. So I think that's been one of the initiatives that we've been most looking forward to see rolling out. We have a couple of things to help you once you're on board. We have a tag in our forums, MDBW hack help tag. If you tag your posts with that will get flagged to our team here, and we will surface that up and we'll be able to respond to you quicker. We'll get alerts on the basis of that. And indeed, if you're asking a question elsewhere in the MongoDB forum, so maybe you have a particular implementation question, so you've gone outside of the hackathon category and into elsewhere in the MongoDB forums, and you've asked that question. If you also tag it with that hack help tag, we'll pick that up as well too, and we'll be able to maybe surface up some quicker help for you as you make your way through the hackathon. We have some hackathon badges that people will obtain, and also everybody gets a little flash as they sign up for the MongoDB World Hackathon. You can see the little chevron and underscore there as well too, that will be added to your avatar in the forum. So we'll know and be able to identify you as hackathon participants as well too. As we said earlier, and Nick is busy trying to build this at the moment as well too, we're sharing this hackathon with you. Our team here are getting familiar with the same GDEL data set. We're pulling it together. We're going to hack alongside you. So our MVP is to create a news browser. We're going to maybe use the tone categories or the Goldstein index, etc., to help along with that as well too. We're trying to add as many MongoDB products as we can. So search and mapping and more will be added. And we will be live streaming this development effort too. So we'll share our process with you. We'll share the repos with you. By all means, have a look at that and get some inspiration for your own projects as well too. We would be showing a demo, but we're going to keep it probably over time anyway. So we're going to keep it super short here. So we're not showing a demo, right, Nick?
No, not today. I don't want to embarrass myself with what I have right now. So I'd rather.
This is the true form of an MVP, right? So in the same way as I've said earlier, people aren't putting their projects up in our projects needing hackers. We're in the same boat. We're learning this as well too, and we're sharing the load. So that would be great. If you do want to learn more, we recorded a podcast there last week, which is up on the MongoDB podcast. You will find it there, episode 105. So please listen to that. You'll get a little bit more background from some more on the advocacy team here. If you do listen, and I know if our colleague Mike Lynn is going to revisit this live stream, please rate and review the podcast. He lives off that stuff, so I'm sure he'd love to have that as well too. Isn't that right, Nick? And you're on lots of the older podcasts too, right? It's one of your babies.
Yeah, older ones, not recent ones.
Yes,
but they're good. They're all good. Definitely listen if you're looking for ideas, at least.
Excellent. Yeah, no, there might surface up a bunch of ideas as there as well too. Why participate? I think, look, for me, hackathons is it's a core activity for most developers who are inquisitive and want to kind of broaden their horizons and learn more and somewhat step out of their comfort zone as well too. And for us, I think it's really good to collaborate with our community and what people are building and share that.
There's more that I want to add onto that as well,
Sure.
because I realize that either there's probably a few students probably watching live right now, and there's probably going to be a few students or early in their career job seekers
Hmm.
watching.
Hmm.
Um, this is good resume material. If you're looking for projects for your resume to help you find employment and further boost your career, hackathons are one of the top ways that you can do that because it's a demonstration of your skills that you've worked on a team, projects, etc. So not a lot of people think of that from that angle, but it is an angle.
Yeah, it's a really, really good point actually, and thank you for raising it because I think certainly to get experience, I look, everybody learns a little bit different, right, Nick? I think I
Yeah.
certainly learn by doing, and sometimes you can get a little bit lazy in that regard. So if you have to build something for somebody or with somebody, and actually also with a deadline attached to it as well too, I think it's probably one of the best ways to learn. But we want to
Yeah.
also kind of reward you for your participation and your time. So we've got a bunch of different rewards available. Obviously, we've got all developers love swag. So we're currently building a swag store specifically for the hackathon. So we're going to have some super nice kind of one-off exclusive items available for all the hackathon participants in our swag store that we'll make available shortly as well too. And for this, we're kind of trying to think of some clever angles as well. So it's not just for, best project or anything. We're going to look for who's the most collaborative in our forums. We're going to look for the team that creates the best readme for their project. We're going to look at the best presentation, the best design, these sort of things as well. So put your best efforts in whatever your core skills are, because we're able to tease around a bunch of prizes, and these aren't all for the end of the hackathon either. This is throughout. So we'll be dropping prizes on people as and when we see fit. So stay tuned, keep in touch on the forums, and join our live streams as well too. So we're very much looking forward to wrangling a really nice hackathon swag store for all of our participants. In addition to that, obviously, we talked about the World Hack 22 code that gets you $100 of Atlas credits. If you are interested, this is the build up for MongoDB World. And if you are interested in going to MongoDB World, which is on in New York from the 7th to the 9th of June, you can use the Hack25 code to get 25% off the ticket price for MongoDB World, which is a pretty good discount as well. I'm sure you'll agree, Nick, right? And you're going to be there, I'm going to be there, and you'll hopefully get to meet some of the other participants on the hackathon as well too.
Yeah, I hope so. I don't even think I've met half my team, so that's going to be an opportunity for me too. So we're good.
Perfect. Well, look, it will be great, and this is the goal. We're trying to use this as our tagline, and some of the collateral that you'll see is build your way to world. If we get obviously really, really good projects that we're really proud of and really want to show off, we're going to try and get some presence at our key event, our flagship event, MongoDB World, to showcase those projects as well too. So not only are you participating in the hackathon, you could end up having your project showcased up on World in front of a large stage, in front of all of our in-person audience, but also our virtual audience as well too. So it's well worthwhile putting in the effort to get all that kudos and developer love as well too. So with regard to prizes, essentially, as long as your project is using MongoDB and the GDEL data set at the moment in some way, you will be eligible for the prizes. And we're going to judge them on pretty simple criteria. Is it creative? Is it well designed? And is it well made? So the submission process, which will happen through our forums as well too, essentially is you will upload a description of your project. We will also be looking for a very short video, about 3 minutes, of you demonstrating your project, how it comes together, what it does, how you built it, etc. as well too, and also a link to your repo. We want everybody to build in the open, so we want to see those repos being shared, and that's the way we'll be using all of those criteria in how to judge this as well too. So we're very much looking forward to seeing what you build and where you go with this. Just as a reminder of the timeline, we started on Monday, and for those of you that registered would have seen some of the emails go out, and thank you all so much for registering to date. We've got, as I said earlier, we've got over 100 participants in the last 2 days being registered, and that is really, really good to see. Essentially, the full timeline is April 11th to May 20th, and you can join at any time. So if you are interested, or you see this later on our forums or up on our YouTube channel, and it's gone beyond the date, that's no problem. You can join and participate anytime up until that deadline of May 20th. So in the next 4 weeks or so, as I said, we're going to run weekly office hours. We're going to have Ask Me Anything sessions. We're going to run some challenges on our live streams. You're going to see us code that minimal viable product of our news browser that we're putting together at the moment as well too. Towards the end, in the last week or two, we're going to be looking for you to kind of prepare your final submissions. We'll run some live streams on how best to put that together as well. And then on May 20th, we're done. Everything gets uploaded, and we take our time to review all of those. And essentially, hopefully, we'll be able to pick out some superb projects to showcase and provide prizes, etc. as well too. So in essence, we really can't wait to see what you're going to build, and we're very much looking forward to working with you. The advocacy team here, the DevRel team, are fully devoted towards participating. All of the people that you saw at the top of the slides, we're here, as I said, 22 and a half hours a day, pretty much with coverage for you in the forums. If you want to register, that's the URL, mongodb.com/world2022/hackathon. Please share that and get that out with as many people as possible. We really want to get a large cohort participating. I think there's an awful lot of very interesting projects we can build.
Shane, I want to circle back to some of the questions that we skipped over.
Yeah, well, look, I can remove the slides here now, and we can jump in. And
I'll show them on the screen, so that way we catch up from where we left off. The first one that we skipped over was for the GDELT project. There are many options. Which is the proper link for the data set that we should be using?
Yes, there are a huge amount of options in the GDELT data set. So what we have done is we've used a Mongo import to import a subset of that data set, a time-banded subset, and we are just tidying that up a little bit. So if we have a forum post, the GDELT primer, which links to that, and that how we're making that easy for you to work with. We will be doing another live streaming session solely on GDELT and the complications of GDELT. It's an interesting data set. It has an interesting and unique structure. It uses Cameo codes as well too, if you've had a little examination there too, where everything has an identifier, and those identifiers mean different things. So we will be doing a full orientation on the GDELT data set, and that will become a little bit easier to understand for the hackathon participants as we go forward.
Yep. Let me get the next one up. So this one, you were an app developer at one point in time, Shane, so this might resonate with you, but I've been working as a mobile app developer for about 2 years now. How can I use MongoDB products? You got any suggestions on starting points on how to get the GDELT going with mobile?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. MongoDB's mobile product is Realm. Now, Realm is two things really. Realm is a local on-device database, so that's the Realm SDKs, and we have those essentially for most platforms and most operating systems. So depending if you're an Android developer, an iOS developer, we've got a Swift SDK for Android, we've got Java, and we've got our Kotlin SDKs in beta at the moment, so you can work with that. And so that's the on-device database. But we have Realm Sync, which allows you to sync back with the data back on Atlas. So that's, as a mobile developer, that's how you would participate in the hackathon. In essence, is that making use of either the cluster that we make available for you or your own. You will be using Realm Sync to read that data into your mobile device and to display that, and obviously work on and act on that data. So you can, as I said, you can create a news browser. You could show that data on mapping on mobile devices. You could, mobile devices bring a load of other facets to the table. So you could, knowing that user's location, you could show them the news stories that are around, that have surfaced around them as well too. So there's plenty of ways, but the starting point is the Realm SDKs, and then leveraging Realm Sync to bring the data back on Atlas down to your mobile device.
Yep. All right, so the next one we have is from Angie. Quite a few helpful posts on the forums. Where's the best place to start if you're looking to get set up?
Thank you, Angie. The best place is the forum. So if you go in there, and I need to refresh my own memory of what I call the posts. I think if you look at the sidebar in the forums and into the resources, you will see essentially the resources both around MongoDB and also around GDELT as well too. But keep an eye out and you turn on your notifications for the forums as well too, for the various topics that you're interested in, because we are posting there regularly. So as we create something new, as we build something new, as we find a new sample reference or a new article on GDELT, etc., we'll be posting in the forums. So everything is happening in the forums. You're not missing out. It doesn't happen anywhere else. It's happening in the forums. Even we managed to get this live stream link into the forums earlier today. So you should be or could be able to watch this directly in the forums as well too.
Yep. We have just a statement from Pratik. I'll be registering first thing in the morning. That sounds awesome, Pratik. Looking forward to whatever you produce. Maybe something mobile.
Excellent, excellent. That's the whole point of these live streams, and do share. I mean, I think the key thing is that we want to get as many people on board the hackathon as possible. And as I said earlier, I think team collaboration is great fun, particularly for hackathons, leveraging each other's skills. So please broadcast this far and wide. The more, the merrier. That would be great.
Shane, what do you think about? I know we haven't talked about this before, but what do you think about having some of these participants, if they're interested in sharing their project on a future stream? Should we make that happen?
Yes, definitely. I am all for that. That's what we should be doing. I think if we have some brave participants who are happy to join us here on the live stream, I think that would be great. I think, this is the problem with the virtual hackathons versus the in-person hackathons. You can wander around tables, you can ask people what they're working on. There's a serendipity that comes with the lunch queue, and there's pizzas and beers flowing, and it all just works. So we've got to work that little bit harder in the virtual space that we're in at the moment. So I would certainly encourage people to share their project, put up details of the project. There's no such thing as a stupid question. Go on to the forums, ask all those questions there. Myself and the team and everybody else will be hopefully able to answer those, and indeed our wider community.
Yeah, definitely.
Excellent.
I think that's it from our chat. Do we have anything else, Shane, that we wanted to put out there before our next stream?
No, I think we've obviously covered everything we wanted to do in this one, but this is purely the onboarding, the orientation stream as well too. So the recording of this will go up on the forums. So, if somebody wants to share this with somebody else, there's no problem in that, and make it easy for them to do. We will be having future live streams, as I said, about GDELT, definitely about the MongoDB and how to get set up on MongoDB and Atlas, etc. as well too, and how to bring them all together with our MVP, the product that we're building. So please join in as much of those. If you are on the forums and you've registered, you will see in the top menu there's an events button in the menu bar. If you click on that, you will see the events that we're planning. At the moment, I only populated it with this event that we were doing this evening. As the next day or two unfolds, I should be able to populate it with essentially the office hours and the AMAs and the sessions that we're doing regularly. And then we will have almost pop-up sessions as well too, as and when we see fit. So if you're very happy to share your idea and your project, that'd be great. If you want to join something like this to pitch your project, I think that would be ideal too. If you don't fancy typing out in our wizard what your project's about, but you want to come on and appeal to people to join you, come on board. Let's pitch your project right here on the live stream and see who takes part.
All right, then, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and stay tuned for what's next. See you later.
Excellent. See you, folks. Thank you.